actually really enjoyed it.
I think this is a masterpiece.
So will you please give your warmest greetings to the newest king of comedy?
Welcome to Comedy vs. the Machine, video edition. This week, we're talking about the Martin Scorsese film, The King of Comedy, starring Robert De Niro. I think their 5th collaboration together. Dave, what were your thoughts on The King of Comedy?
It was great. Everybody, I think, most people have heard of it. I think most people that love film will attest to having seen it. I'm not sure if I have. The nuances are there, and so many movies are derivative of what happens in it.
The Joker's an original masterpiece, Dave. So.
I actually really enjoyed it. I was surprised when Sandra Bernhard showed up. She's fantastic as a crazy person in this.
Take this and give it to Jerry, all right?
The main thing is Bobby De Niro and Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lewis is amazing in this film.
Now, I know it's an old hackneyed expression, but it happens to be the truth. You've got to start at the bottom.
He's quite, what's the right word? Intense. Like you're really like shocked at
we
how
have a conversation about
vulnerable
that.
he is in this
I think
film.
maybe overlooked for an Oscar nomination this year as supporting actor.
This year's had a lot of good films though,
Yeah.
so we'd have to catalog at the end of the season, but he's amazing in this movie. It's a great analysis of how twisted everything is with America in general, frankly. But entertainment culture, right? And this entitlement for this crazy dude who wants to be famous without really putting in the chops.
I think this is a masterpiece. I think this is one of Martin Scorsese's best films. And I think its exploration of celebrity delusion, paranoia is done super, super well and very compelling. Some people's impulses, I think, would be to like really only focus on the dirtiness and the terribleness and the
Almost like a horror film or something.
Like a horror film. It does take time to actually be funny at the same time. I think there's some great scenes. Scorsese himself very intentionally shot this with very like static cameras and let the action kind of tell the story. This is coming right after Raging Bull, where he was doing like very
super
specific
cinematic
camera work.
Artistic.
At the time, I know that people looked at this as being like this huge departure for Scorsese's broad body of work. I don't know. I don't have that baggage, I don't think, anymore. In hindsight. So it all kind of works for me. What is, I think, the biggest win as far as character work goes with this is that the impulse would be to make him actually a straight up terrible comedian. He's not. And I think that's the kind of the cool thing about this is that he's not great, maybe even not good yet, but there's bones to that. Like he understands how to tell a joke.
I wasn't especially interested in athletics. The only exercise I ever got was when the other kids picked on me. Yeah, they used to beat me up once a week, usually Tuesday. And after a while, the school worked it into the curriculum. And if you knocked me out, you got extra credit.
You can empathize with him because he's not just a serial killer.
Right. Yeah, he's not just a serial killer. He's deluded himself.
He's not actually a serial killer.
He's deluded himself to the point where he thinks he can skip over it. But he's given great advice, like go to the comedy clubs, put in the time. You're going to be good. You will be good. And I think maybe unlike the other Scorsese films and why maybe people push back on this is that there isn't that explosion of ultra violence in this movie. It always keeps getting to that point and then pulling itself back, getting up to that point and then pulling itself back. There's never that release of tension. Anyways, I'm a big fan of this movie. I think it's great.
It's easier to appreciate now with our modern understanding of storytelling, especially in a bombastic 80s sense. Yeah, it's not a horror film. It's not a slasher film. So it's kind of underwhelming sometimes, pointedly so. Martin Scorsese was burning out and
almost
had that
died,
big coke problem. De Niro saves his life and they do Raging Bull. The theme of like critiquing the entertainment industry and trying to build yourself up as an entertainer, but also a producer of content. It's very self-reflective.
I do like that De Niro went and talked to his own stalker.
Yeah.
As far as like
method,
preparation
man.
for this role.
Is De Niro the most sane method actor, maybe?
I don't know. I don't even know if he's sane. But I mean, definitely he's not the type of person like, well, I need to be awful to everyone on set in order to get into my method.
Daniel Day-Lewis has lost his mind.
He's apparently nice too. Apparently he's not.
Christian Bale has lost his mind.
Yes. Jared Leto likes to send used condoms in the mail. But
they're just like all teetering because the idea of inhabiting a character is so psychotic. Yes, he went and interviewed fans and actual stalker allegedly. And the guy's like, I just want to have dinner with you. So that's in this film, which I think is fascinating.
Carry this knife with me just in case.
That is also an interesting thing. Like that's how I picture stalkers, but maybe they just do want to have dinner with you and touch your hair, feed you and tie you up and like sex you.
Marty, return my phone calls.
All right. That's our thoughts. Anything else? Do you remember anything else?
Good.
Yeah, fuck it.
Love that coat that he wears.
What's next?
Well, you talked about slashers. We're going to talk about a slasher next time.
Oh, are we already going there? Shit.
Yeah. Friday the 13th, part 3.
Gross. Is it Jason?
It's Jason.
I'll put on some masks, perhaps more than one.
Now, tomorrow you'll know that I wasn't kidding and you'll think I was crazy. But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.